for health, education, and social welfare of all children, including children with special needs. These issues will be examined in light of the current situation of children in the custody of state and recommendations made in previous reports, including the Keating report, which has been the subject of inquiry before this honorable body. There's also a plan of action emerging from this task force, which will deal with the costing and timeline, very important, timeline for implementation, to show that the state has committed itself to ensuring that the plan of action being undertaken by the task force has certain timeline and certain hard targets. The Prime Minister himself, I must state, has taken a personal interest in these issues and is spearheading this initiative and certainly has it on his agenda as to the continued progress of some of these initiatives. There is also a national plan of action on child justice, and this plan of action will address in a large part some of the concerns raised by Jamaicans for justice. Efforts continue. In fact, we have received support from UNICEF to the tune of 17 million, I think it's Jamaican dollars, for assisting in developing this plan of action. The upgrading of facilities continue, and one of immediate concern is that the Ministry of National Security and the Department of Correctional Services has resumed plans to retrofit and upgrade the Montpellier Correctional Institution and Remand Center to accommodate 250 children. And this facility would help improve in a great way compliance with international standards concerning the privation of liberty of children. There's also the establishment of a national inspectorate for correctional institutions, and it is anticipated that this body, which is expected to begin work in 2010, will ensure transparency and effective regulation of the operation of child care facilities. And during the week of October 5, the representatives from DFID, that's the UK Department for International Development, traveled to Jamaica and offered technical assistance for the establishment of the inspectorates. In conclusion, Commissioners, both the Office of Children's Advocate and the Child Development Agency continue to strengthen their efforts to discharge their mandate to improve the well-being of children with a number of initiatives, some of which I have highlighted here and some of which will be implemented shortly. On the part of the State of Jamaica overall, there is a commitment for the protection of rights of children at the highest level, and no effort will be spared in addressing weaknesses in the child care and protection system. Efforts taken over the years as reflected in the monitoring reports of the CDA are being improved, and Jamaica will take all necessary steps to ensure full compliance with international standards for the protection of children in the custody of the state. May it please you, that's the extent of our presentation this morning.
Thank you very much to representatives of the State of Jamaica for your presentation, and I will give the floor now to my fellow commissioners to present some questions. Commissioner Roberts, who is the country rapporteur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I thank the petitioners and the distinguished representative of the State of Jamaica for their presentation. And as a rapporteur, let me just say, first of all, that the Armadale tragedy, I think, as the petitioners say, in a way, a wake-up call for the Jamaican society and the Jamaican government. The Commission of Inquiry, as I understand it, was a public inquiry. I read the editorials in the Jamaica Gleaner and the Jamaica Observer. I read daily the testimony given before the inquiry. So it's all public knowledge as to what was said, and the competing theories as to how the fire was sought was all in the public domain. There was one theory that it was started by the police, the other theory it was started by the girls. So I don't know that in the interests of transparency, and in any case it's public, that the state need be so squeamish about suppressing the evidence that was given before the commission and the details of the incident. We're not here finding facts. We are merely listening to presentation and trying to assist, as a Commissioner for Human Rights, assist the state in carrying out its obligation to protect the human rights of its citizens, and particularly children. What struck me, though, in the presentation was the lack of attention to the mental health of the children, the psychological and mental health of the children. And I wanted to ask the state what is being done about that. Before the inquiry, it was said that there was one psychologist in the whole correctional services department. Has that improved? It was shown that 90% of the girls at Armadale had some sort of psychological problem, but they were not receiving adequate attention in that respect. Has this improved? Has the state sought to hire more child psychologists as we talking right now? Have there been any attempt to hire more psychologists to pay more attention to the mental health of children? It's all good to have great intentions and to create new culture, but there's some practical things that I think the state can do and should do to improve the situation immediately. The other area is education of the girls, of the children. One teacher to 61 children is you can't really do much teaching. You're trying to teach 61 children with one teacher. So I'd like to ask, have more teachers been hired for these children? And also, has the state paid some attention to the curriculum? Teaching three subjects is hardly adequate. Has the state done something about that? I wanted to ask whether or not there's more follow-up to recommendations made by the Children's Advocate. We have a report that Mrs. Mary Clark said that Armadale tragedy might have been avoided if her recommendations had been implemented. Is there a mechanism for following up recommendations of Child Advocate and NGOs as the government receives them? I wanted to ask the state